Hello, and thank you for viewing the Social Security Administration's pre-recorded webinar on electronic filing with business services online. We hope this information is helpful to those of you who could not attend our live webinar. My name is Christina Wilson-Malia, and I'm the Earnings Support Branch Manager in our Office of Central Operations. A PDF with all of the information from the pre-recorded session, including resource links and customer support contact information, is available on our Business Services online website. Our website also has a frequently asked questions document that contains questions from our live webinar. This webinar will focus on Social Security's electronic filing applications for annual wage reporting and will include options for filing of Forms W2, W2C, and W3, W3C. We'll begin with wage file upload and then move on to W2 online. We will provide a comprehensive outline on the benefits of each application, as well as how to create and submit original and corrected W2 and W2C reports. We will share screenshots and instructions, and will also provide resources and tips for the wage reporting process. We will only be walking through electronic filing with business services online, also referred to as BSO. BSO offers internet services for businesses and employers who exchange information with Social Security. As a registered BSO user who selected wage reporting suite of services during registration, you will be able to file electronic wage reports with us. In addition to our main topics, we are going to briefly discuss access and registration, Social Security number verification service, AccuWage Online, resubmission notices, as well as how to check the submission and employer report status, although we will not be covering these topics in great detail. For more in-depth instructions on these processes, please visit our ssa.gov/employer webpage for tutorials and detailed instructional information. Our goal for this webinar is to provide you with a better understanding of how to file wage reports electronically with SSA. Now, you may be wondering, what are the benefits of filing electronically? Electronic filing uses the Social Security Administration's Business Services Online, and it is not only faster, but provides free and secure online W-2 filing options to CPAs, accountants, enrolled agents, and individuals who process W-2s, which is the wage and tax statement, as well as W-2Cs, which is the corrected wage and tax statement. Filing electronically completes your wage reporting obligation, and there is no need to send paper documents. You will receive an instant confirmation of receipt, and if your file contains any errors, you will receive an immediate notification with details on the errors identified. Please be mindful of the Taxpayer First Act requirements for electronic filing. The Internal Revenue Service has issued final regulations that reduce the electronic filing threshold from 250 W-2s to 10 informational returns, such as Forms W-2 or 1099. And this began last year in January of 2024. This is an aggregate total of all informational returns. So if you file 10 or more informational returns, you must file electronically unless you request and the IRS grants a waiver or exemption. Any questions about the waiver process should be referred to the Internal Revenue Service. More information on the Taxpayer First Act can be found on IRS's website at irs.gov. Please note that January 31st is the deadline for filing wage reports with the Social Security Administration, and this includes both electronic and paper. Business Services Online offers 3 different options to file electronically with SSA. The Wage File Upload application allows you to upload formatted wage files in our EFW2 and EFW2C designated formats. Formatted files are created by various types of accounting software. The W2 Online application allows you to create, resume, save, and print copies suitable for your employees, and you may submit up to 50 W2s per session. W2C Online provides similar functionality to the W2 Online application and allows you to create, resume, save, print suitable copies for your employees, and submit up to 25 W2C forms per session. You do not need special accounting software to use W2 and W2C Online, although you do need Adobe Acrobat Reader to view and print your forms, which we will cover in more detail a little later. As another option, you may also choose to hire a third party to file forms electronically on your behalf. The Business Services Online application operates and is available for use 7 days per week during the following hours, including holidays: Monday through Friday, 4:15 a.m. to 1 a.m. Eastern Time, Saturday, 5 a.m. to 11 p.m. Eastern Time, and Sunday, 8 a.m. to 11:30 p.m. Eastern Time. So where to begin? If you need access to our BSO services, which includes the electronic filing applications, you will need to first create an account. Your first step is to visit the ssa.gov/employer website. This is our homepage for electronic filing. Once you are on this page, you can select the Account button at the top right of the page, or the Business Services Online link to the right of the page. Some of you may remember that we recommended not clicking on the Account button previously. We heard your feedback concerning frustrations with the Account button and how to access your account from the employer filing page, and have made some updates. The Account button will now take you to the BSO sign-in page. Prior to the change, clicking on the Account button routed customers to their personal MySole Security account, which created confusion for our business customers. And I'm happy to report that that is no longer the case. So if you are on the employer filing page and select the Account button at the top right, you will now be routed to the BSO sign-in page. You can also select the Business Services Online button to take you to the BSO welcome page. First, you will go to the Employer section and then select the Sign In or Create Account link. There are two options for signing into BSO. You can use or create an account with one of our credential service providers, login.gov or ID.me. These credentialing providers simplify your sign-in experience and align with federal authentication standards while providing safe and secure access to our online services. If you already have an existing login.gov or ID.me account, you can sign in with that account and do not need to create a new credential specifically to access SSA services. If you don't have a current account, you will need to create either a login.gov or ID.me account. When creating an account, be careful and make sure the information you enter is correct and free of errors. You will be asked to provide personal information to create an account, which is required to verify your identity and make sure you are who you say you are. The personal information that you enter for this login process is required for both a business and a personal account, although your business and your personal information will be kept separate. It is your personal credential which allows access, not anything your employer possesses. We want to verify who you are, which has nothing to do with the organization you work for. Now, some tips for you to consider that may avoid unnecessary issues as you navigate through the process. First, slow down. Take your time. Navigate through the screens carefully. A simple keying mistake could cause an error and lock you out of the system. When uploading images of your driver's license, please be sure to upload a clear picture of the front and back. A blurry picture may cause authentication issues. Make sure that you are using your full legal name that is recorded on your driver's license and Social Security card. Check for browser updates and use the most current software. Also, clearing your cache and cookies helps to improve overall system performance. Please note that an activation code is required before you can access our business services online suite of services on behalf of your employer. We strongly encourage you to start the registration and authentication process immediately and not to wait. It may take up to 2 weeks to complete the registration process. Once you have successfully created your new login.gov or ID.me account, you will get a congratulations message on the screen notifying you that you have access to online services. Please note, once you have created your BSO account, you will still need to activate the electronic wage reporting suite of services, which we'll cover in a few minutes. You need to be prepared to verify your identity and accept the general terms of service every time you sign in. The terms of service apply to all Social Security online services. Keep in mind that you may also be asked to agree to additional terms in order to use a specific Social Security online service that you access. The general terms of service will be displayed after account creation or signing in with your credential. By checking the I agree to the terms of service, you acknowledge the conditions. If you do not agree to the terms of service, you will not be able to access our online services. Now let's discuss how to request new services. If you are a new user, you will need to request new services to get started. If you are an existing user, any activated services will be listed. However, you can still request additional services at any time by selecting the Request New Services link from the menu on the left of the page. For access to electronic wage reporting services, including reporting wages to Social Security, check the box saying SSA Services Suite for Employers and select the Next button. Continue to follow the steps and directions on the screen to complete requesting services. For security reasons, after you request services, we will mail a BSO activation code to your employer before you can access our wage reporting services. We use the IRS employer address on file to mail activation codes. Please make sure the employer address is current with the IRS. Remember, this is the BSO activation code used for wage reporting purposes. You may have received an activation code as part of the identity verification process. Again, activation codes may take up to 2 weeks. If you request more than one service, you will receive a separate activation code for each service. However, if you request more than one service at the same time, the employer will receive one letter with both activation codes. Once you receive the activation code, enter the code by accessing the link under Manage Services, and your services will be activated, and you will receive this confirmation screen. Your services listed are now available from the main menu, and you can begin using them immediately. We have a wide array of resources to help you navigate through the process of access and registration, as well as business services online, including step-by-step videos and instructions. The BSO registration and authentication video is a pre-recorded version of our webinar. We also have a detailed handbook, tutorial, and filing instructions. The business services online link will take you directly to the BSO welcome page, and all of the resources can be found by visiting ssa.gov/employer. Now, once you have created an account, signed in, and have access to wage reporting services, you can now access the electronic filing applications. Let's take a look at our wage file upload application first. The wage file upload application provides a guided self-service experience to upload W2, W2C, and W3, W3C wage files to SSA. The wage file upload application allows you to upload a file in the required EFW2 and EFW2C formats generated by your payroll system. Specifications for filing forms W2 electronically can be found by visiting our socialsecurity.gov/employer webpage. There is a maximum file limit of 350 megabytes per upload. The application displays the file's progress and results of your submission in less than 1 minute and notifies the submitter of critical errors immediately with detailed information of what needs to be corrected so an employer can correct the file and resubmit. The application alerts and communicates the data errors before SSA accepts the wage file submission. Results include a wage file identifier, also known as a WIFID, very similar to a tracking number that will be associated with the file throughout the entire submission process. We suggest you zip your file. Zipping your file will reduce transmission time by up to 80%. You may use PKZip, WinZip, or another PKZip compatible compression program to compress the wage files before submitting them. Please keep in mind that W2 and W2C wage files may contain multiple wage reports. However, zip files may contain only one wage file. You are not able to print copies of W2s using the wage file upload application. Let's move on to the BSO main menu. After you have logged into the application, you land on the BSO main menu. Once you have prepared your wage file for submission, you will select the Report Wages to Social Security link. If you don't see the Report Wages to Social Security link, you do not have activated services and will need to request services and enter the mailed activation code before you will see this link. Just a quick note, for this pre-recorded webinar and examples, we have already activated our services, and we are now ready to submit electronic wages to the Social Security Administration. Once you land on the electronic wage reporting page, you will see tabs at the top of the page. Select the third tab, Upload Formatted Wage File. You have a couple of options to select. The first option, Submit a Formatted Wage File. There is also an option to submit a special wage payment file. We will not be going into detail about this option, but I do want to mention it so you know where to find the selection if needed. Since we are looking to upload a wage file, we will select the Submit a Formatted Wage File link. Now we're at the wage file upload page. First, choose what type of file you would like to submit. For this example, we're going to select the first button for the W2, W3 forms for tax year 2024 or previous tax year. And this would be an EFW2 formatted file. The first option should be selected after you have prepared your wage file for submission. The second option would be selected for corrections, and that is the EFW2C file. We will not be walking through the selection for a correction file in this webinar, although the process follows the same steps as that of the EFW2 file upload. And then the third option is to respond to a resubmission notice, and we will be discussing resubmissions a little later. While on the file upload page, You will select Browse to locate the file on your computer. Once you have located the file of your choice, select the Open button from your file pop-up window. Your file must be in the EFW2 file format with a .txt extension. As a reminder, zipping your file will improve upload speed. You'll notice throughout the application that there are help features built in along the way, including on this page if you need more information about the formatting of the file itself. Please ensure that you have selected the appropriate file and that it is formatted according to the EFW2 specifications. You'll then select the Upload File button. Once you click on the Upload File button, the file is run through a series of edit checks and the results are returned in less than 1 minute. Now let's talk about what happens if your file submission is unsuccessful. If your file has critical or data consistency errors, you will see them on the errors page immediately. No part of the file will be submitted until all errors are resolved. Regardless of the number of errors found within the file, the entire file will be rejected if even one error is identified. You will need to fix the errors and upload the file again. Of course, you can remove the reports with errors and immediately upload the file with the reports that do not contain errors, and then fix those reports with errors and upload that file separately. Or you may choose to fix the reports with errors and upload the entire file again. If you are not planning to correct the file right away, we suggest saving a copy or printing the errors page, since the only way to see the errors later would be to upload your file again. You will not receive a wage file identifier as the receipt until your file does not have any errors. You may also print this page as proof of a filing attempt and for your records. I do want to mention that there is a help link which provides a user tutorial, specifications to the EFW2 and EFW2C file formats, as well as SSA's telephone and email contact information. Error results are listed on the screen in the same file upload session. On the actual web page, you will just continue to scroll to see this information. But for the purposes of this webinar, we are showing the information on separate slides. The summary of the W3 forms with errors section shows you which reports had errors, the number of errors, the employer identification number, and employer name. The error details section displays what the errors are and where they are located within the file. The error results displayed at the bottom of the page are specific to each employer report and line number within the wage file. The last 4 digits of the employee's Social Security number associated with the W-2 are also displayed. You also have filtering options available in the lower right-hand corner, depending on the needs of the submitter. This allows you to customize the view according to how you do business by selecting the fields that you want displayed. The search icon looks like the magnifying glass, allows you to filter the table by a specific string of characters. This includes employer name, EIN, tax year, etc. The column selector allows you to select the columns that you want to display in the table. If you are a large filer, you are also able to filter your clients individually to see each employer's error. And this may be helpful in pulling up clients' records quickly to work with an individual employer. Now let's see what is displayed if you upload a file and it passed all preliminary checks and contains no errors. And this is the result everyone wants to see. On the file summary page, you will receive the notification displayed stating this file passed preliminary checks and has been submitted to the Social Security Administration. All uploaded files that do not contain any errors will be automatically submitted to SSA. You will be notified if further action is required. You can also check your submission status using the submission status link. And if you need to upload another file, you can do so from this screen as well by clicking on the Upload New File button. This page displays the receipt of the wage file upload. That includes your wage file identifier. And again, this is created as proof of filing for your records. It's important that you print and save your confirmation receipt to have record of when the electronic file was submitted. We recommend that you print and save the submission details with W3 totals from BSO and save your confirmation page for at least 4 years. If you misplaced your confirmation page, you can view your submission status. At the bottom of the page is the file summary containing relevant information for you to quickly check against your information to confirm that the information uploaded is accurate. It includes total wages, forms and file, date and timestamp, and the current status of received. Also, I want to bring your attention to the feedback button located on the right side of the page. Please share your experience with the wage file upload application using the feedback button. If you're in need of more assistance, we have several resources available that you can access on our website. Our employer W2 filing instructions and information can be found on our ssa.gov/employer webpage. Specifications for filing forms W2 and W2C electronically, including a breakdown of each line of the EFW2 and EFW2C wage files, is located on our ssa.gov/employer webpage under the W2 filing assistance area. Also on our ssa.gov/employer webpage under videos, tutorials, and handbooks, we have a tutorial on the tax year 2024 wage file upload application that walks you through each step of the upload process and also contains screenshots. At this time, I'm going to turn it over to my colleague, Matthew Newton, who is a technical advisor in our Office of Central Operations. Matt will be discussing the W2 and W3 online application. Matt?
Thanks, Christina. Our next topic is W2, W3 Online. It is our other application for submitting wage reports to SSA. Please note Adobe Acrobat Reader or another PDF reader is required for this application. Benefits for W2 Online are there's no software required. You can create and save up to 50 W2s per submission. You can create W2s for up to 3 years prior to the current tax year. You can also print copies for your employees. And of course, by using this method, you don't have to send paper. I'd also like to mention that for W2 Online, just like wage file upload, you receive a WIFID for tracking purposes, and you're also immediately informed of any errors. Additionally, you'll receive an instant confirmation receipt for your W2 Online file submissions. Incorrect data entry is the most frequent cause of errors. There are other common causes as well. Be sure to include the decimal point and cents in your W2 entries. Dollar signs are embedded in each money amount field, so it's not necessary to add a dollar sign in any field. Incorrectly formatting an employee's name is also a common error that can cause problems with submissions. For example, we found that many times first and middle names are combined in the first name field when they should be entered in separate fields. Don't misformat the employee's name in box E. Enter the employee's first name and middle initial in the first box, their surname in the second box, and their suffix, such as junior, in the third box. Other common errors are entering an incorrect EIN or an employee's SSN instead of the EIN. Lastly, there's no need to submit paper forms once you file electronically. To use W2 Online, Adobe Acrobat Reader is required to view your downloaded wage file. If you do not have Adobe Acrobat Reader on your computer, you can download it at the Adobe website. For the purpose of this training, we already have activated services and we're ready to report wages. Remember, the login process is required for every BSO session. However, you do not need to activate your services every year. Just like wage file upload, you're going to start at the Business Services Online main menu. You're going to begin at the Report Wages to Social Security just like we did before. And of course, we're going to assume that we already have access to BSO. When you're accessing W2/W3 Online, you're going to want to select the first tab at the top of the page, Forms W2/W3 Online. And of course, we still see the additional tabs there across the top. You will then select Create Resume Forms W2/W3 link within the tab to access W2 Online. Once you select the Create Resume link, it will take you to the Unsubmitted Reports page. If you have previously started reports, you'll see those here. Our screenshot shows reports that have been created but not submitted. You can have a maximum of 50 unsubmitted reports at one time. Once you reach the 50 saved report limit, you must submit at least one unsaved report first in order to be able to start another report. You can see on the screen that 3 saved reports have not been submitted. You have the option to add, edit, or delete them. This feature is great because you can print W-2s for your employees and let them review any information before you submit. At the bottom, you'll see the Cancel and Start a New Report button. The forms are purged 30 days once submitted and 120 days from the unsubmitted saved. Next, if you were starting a new report, you're going to see this screen before you create your Forms W2/W3. You'll need to input the following. Select tax year and for whom you're filing, and the type of form from the drop-downs menu. Enter the EIN and check the box at the bottom if you have received a reconciliation letter. This can be used for territories as well. For the purpose of our webinar, we're not going to go through the reconciliation letter process. For whom you are filing drop-down are the employees you filed for previously. The type of W-2 form options are regular W-2, American Samoa W-2AS, Guam W-2GU, U.S. Virgin Islands W-2VI, Northern Marianas Islands W-2CM, or Puerto Rico W-2PR. If your wage reports have uncommon exceptions in the Check for Exceptions list, if any of these exceptions apply, check the box next to Yes, one or more of these situations apply to this wage report, then select Continue. If none of the situations listed in the Check for Exceptions section apply, select the Continue button to go to the employer information for this wage report page. Or if any of the uncommon situations apply, make sure to check the box and then the Continue button to go to the W2 Online restrictions page. If you checked Yes to any of the situations on the previous screen, you are not eligible to use W2 Online to file your wage report because of the restrictions and limitations of the W2 Online system. However, you may use wage file upload if you have software that produces EFW2 formatted electronic files to file the wage report. Selecting the EWR homepage button will return you back to the EWR homepage. If you didn't check the box on the previous screen, you'll go to the employer information screen. You will now see the employer information for this report. You're going to enter the information that's asked on this page. It's going to request information such as employer information, submission and employer contact person, and other information such as the address. You want to input all of this information within this screen. If you're filing for your own company's employees, the information on file with Social Security shown will be on the screen. The fields on this page correspond to boxes on the W-2 form and W-3 form. They should be completed in the same manner. If you used W-2 Online last year for the same employer, some of the information will be pre-filled for you based on your login information, including the employer information and contact person for this submission. Evaluate the other information section to determine if any relatively uncommon issues are applicable. We've broken out the information for you because the page gets a little long. Next, select the kind of payer that best describes your situation. Any changes that are made on this page will only update this current wage report. You'll need to contact the IRS to officially correct those records. Select the kind of payer from the radio buttons that you see. You have 941 regular, household employer, 943 agricultural, 944 regular, CT1 railroad, Medicare, government employer, and military. You'll also want to select the appropriate radio button for the kind of employer. Options are federal government, tax-exempt employer, state and local governmental employer, state and local tax-exempt employer, and none apply. There's also a third-party sick pay checkbox. You are now at the employer information for this wage report. You will only have this option if you used W2 Online previously. A new user would not see this. The information from your previous W2 Online submissions will pre-fill data for this year's report. It gives you the ability to choose this option versus entering the same information over and over again. You can use the reports from last year by selecting a WIFID and select Continue to proceed. The WIFID on this page was submitted in a previous year. You can select Cancel or Continue at the bottom. This screen displays the W2s available for the WIFID you selected on the previous screen. You can choose W2s you want to use for pre-filling data by selecting the box. You also have the option to return the previous screen or select Continue. Next, you'll see the W2 information. This screen will have the pre-filled data of your employee's contact information, name, SSN, and address if you choose to pre-fill their data. The fields on this page correspond to those found on the paper W2 and should be completed the same way. If you're having difficulties with filling out the proper boxes, you should contact the IRS or visit their website for more information on filling out the form. There should be at least one money value greater than 0 entered in boxes 1 through 7 or 10 through 12. Please review the pre-filled data for accuracy. When you're finished, you may select the Save and Create a New W2 button to save this W2 and create a new W2. Or you can select the Save and Go to Next W2 button to save this W2 and edit the next W2 on the W2 list for the submission page. You can also select the Save and Go to W2 List button when you finish creating or editing the W2 forms. While completing the W2 online, some alerts may pop up to bring incorrect entries to your attention. You should fix those errors before proceeding, or you can override the alert by clicking on the checkbox. This screen shows all of the W2s that have been created for the current submission. The status column with a symbol of the exclamation point indicates that the form has been pre-filled but not completed, and you will need to complete the form. This screen shows an example. Again, we see our W2 list for the submission. These are all the W2s that you've created for this submission. You have the option to review or edit the W2 by selecting the employee name. You can also select Delete on the right side of the table. If you filled out the W2 form with a minimum amount of data, the column will display a green checkbox symbol on the left side in the status column. At the bottom of the screen, you have the ability to start another W2 and to continue to the W3 preview. You can also edit the employer information or save and quit. Let's continue to your W3 preview. You're now ready to preview the W3. This is what your preview looks like and the W3s created for you. This is a summary of the W2s you entered. You cannot edit any information displayed on this page other than box 14 and the state in box 15. Social Security will not examine or use any state data and will not forward it to any state or local entity. SSN truncation. To reduce the risk of identity theft, you may choose to truncate the Social Security numbers on the PDFs you give to your employees. If so, selecting the checkbox, SSNs will be truncated. If you choose not to truncate the SSNs, check the box, SSNs will be fully displayed. Once the forms are submitted to SSA, you may not change your selection. When you check the I agree box stating that you are in agreement with the information that you are submitting and to the best of your knowledge, it is accurate and correct, you can select Continue. You'll see the print and review page. You have the option to print unsubmitted W2/W3 forms you want to review, and you need to make sure that you print the PDF for your records. You have the option for the PDF here. It also explains what's in the PDF and instructions if you have problems with printing. At the bottom of the screen, you have the option to save and quit, return to the W2 list if you need to make more corrections or changes, or select Continue. Here's where you can print out copies for your employees. Also, we recommend you save the PDF to your computer to keep for your records. After the print page, you'll see a Sign and Submit page. By selecting the box, you're affirming that the statement is true under penalty of perjury. Once you check the box, you will select the green button to submit this wage report. You will then receive a confirmation receipt. A pop-up window will appear asking if you want to print the confirmation page. You can print it from the pop-up or select Cancel and print it from the confirmation page itself. Once you leave this screen, you will not be able to return to it. We recommend you print and save it to your records. It's a good idea to give copies of the printed W-2s to your employees for their review prior to submission. This can go a long way towards preventing incorrect submissions. Then any changes can be made by selecting the Return to W-2 list. Remember, don't send paper after doing a W-2 submission. Once you print your page, you can go to save the official PDF. Here's where you'll be saving it. The PDF shows in the middle of the screen in the blue box. It gives you a link to the PDF version. It also explains what's in the PDF and instructions if you have problems printing. You want to save this to reference later. You'll also see on the right-hand side that you can download submitted reports. This report will only be available for 30 days from the date of your submission. You'll see the date on the screen, but they can be yours forever by saving them to your computer's hard drive now. Here are a few resources. First, we have our Business Services Online, as well as W2 Online tutorial, which can be found from our ssa.gov/employer website under the Videos, Tutorials, and Handbook section. Our electronic W2 filing user handbook can also be found at ssa.gov/BSOHBNEW.htm. These are great resources that show in-depth screenshots and information all about W2 Online. The next portion of the webinar will discuss how to process a W2C/W3C using the W2C Online application for making corrections. I have a few tips for you. W2C Online can be used for territories. You cannot submit a W2C if you're only making changes to money fields 15 through 20. Don't forget to provide a copy to your employee. And Adobe Acrobat is required to view the PDF created by the application. To access W2C/W3C online, you will select the second tab, Forms W2C/W3C from the EWR homepage. Forms W2C/W3C online allows users to file online corrections to previously submitted Forms W2, regardless of the original form of the electronic submission. Then select Create Resume Forms W2C/W3C online link. For more information, you can view the online tutorial. If you have access to report wages, then you have the W2C Online application access as well. From the Unsubmitted Reports page, you can select the Edit link or the Employer Name link to go to the W2C list for this submission page. You can also select the Delete link to delete an unsubmitted report. Please note, you cannot submit reports marked in red after April 18th, 2025 due to the status of limitation for report corrections. However, you may view and update them. You may have a maximum of 50 unsubmitted reports at one time. When you've reached the 50 saved report limit, you must submit at least one of the unsubmitted reports to be able to start a new report. When you're done with this screen, select the Start a New Report Correction button. On the Before You Create Your Forms W2C/W3C page, provide the correct information for tax year and company name. If you received a reconciliation letter, check the box. If none of the situations listed in the Check for Exceptions section apply, select the Continue button to go to the employer information for this wage report correction page. If any of the situations listed in the Check for Exceptions section apply, check the box and the Continue button to go to the W2C Online Restrictions page. You will not be able to use the W2C application if you have any of these exceptions. On the employer information for this wage report correction page, enter or review employer information, submission, and employer contact person information. Enter or review other information. Select the appropriate kind of payer and kind of employer. Select the kind of payer from the radio buttons that you see. You have the options of 941 regular, household employer, 943 agricultural, 944 regular, CT1 railroad, Medicare government employer, and military. You'll also want to select the appropriate radio button for the kind of employer. Options are federal government, tax exempt employer, state and local government employer, state and local tax exempt employer, and none apply. These next two slides are going to be pretty information dense. On the Enter W2C information page, remember a name, SSN, or money correction is required to create a W2C. You must enter the full original name as it appeared on the previous Form W2. If you're correcting a box that was left blank on the original W2, enter an amount of 0 for previously reported. If you need to correct another W2, select the Save and Start Next W2C button to save and create another W2C. If the system displays alerts, you may proceed by making corrections to the W2C or by selecting the Override checkbox. Now select the Save and Go to W2C List button when you finish creating W2C forms. The system will display the W2C list for the submission page. If alert is displayed, you may proceed by making corrections to the W2C or by selecting the Override checkbox. Note, you can enter a maximum of 25 W2C forms. The number of the current W2C is displayed at the top of the Enter W2C information page. After entering your 25th W2C, the system will no longer display the Save and Start Next W2C button. Select the Cancel Changes button to discard changes made to this W2C, or you can select the Delete This W2C button. If the form has been previously saved, the system will display the Are you sure you want to delete this W2C button. If the form has not been saved previously, the system will display the W2C list for this submissions page. Some commonly asked questions we receive. If we do a W2C to correct an SSN, we only need to correct 1 year and not all prior years? That is correct. If only correcting a name and SSN error, you only correct the most recent year and error for your employee. But that's only the case if it was the same error in name and SSN for every year that was wrong. Also, if they're corrections to boxes 15 to 20 only, do we have to file a copy with SSA? No. If you're correcting only state and local information, please do not send those copies to SSA. However, give a copy to the employee and send it to your local municipality or state. On the W2C list page, you may select a name to view and edit the W2C data, select the delete link to delete the W2C. When you select the delete link, Are you sure you want to delete this W2C page will be displayed. You can select the Save and Quit button to exit W2C Online without submitting your wage report. When you select this button, a new page with Are you sure you want to save and exit W2C Online without submitting your annual wage report to SSA will be displayed. You can select the Edit Employer Information button. The system then displays the employer information for this wage report correction page. You can select the Start a New W2C button. The system displays the Enter W2C Information page. Or you can select the Continue to W3C Preview button. The system displays the W3C preview for this submission page. On the W3C preview for this submission page, you may enter the state or local wages and tax totals. SSA will not use this information, nor will it be forwarded to any state or local entity. As with W2 Online, you have the option to truncate SSNs. You may choose to truncate the Social Security number on the PDFs that you give to your employees. If you wish to do so, selecting the check the box, SSNs will be truncated. If you choose not to truncate SSNs, check the box, SSNs will be fully displayed. Once the forms are submitted to SSA, you may not change your selection. Now select the Continue button. The system displays the Print Unsubmitted Forms W2C/W3C for Review page. On the Print Unsubmitted Forms W2C/W3C for Review page, you have a number of options. You can select the Continue button. The system will then display the Sign and Submit page. You can select the Return to W2C List button to view the W2C list for the Submissions page. You can select the Save and Quit button to exit W2C Online without submitting your wage report to SSA. When you select this button, Are you sure you want to save and exit W2C Online without submitting your annual wage report to SSA page will be displayed. You can also select the link to the PDF of your unsubmitted forms W2C to view them. After the Unsubmitted Reports print page, you'll see a Sign and Submit page. Read the information in the blue box. After reading and confirming the information, check the box and you will select the green button to submit the wage report correction. You will then receive a confirmation receipt. The system displays the confirmation receipt. Your W2C/W3C file was received page in a pop-up window. We also provide you with a WIFID. Please print or save the confirmation receipt for your records. Remember, do not mail us any paper forms W2C or W3C. To view or save the submitted report, select the file name. Note, forms W2C for any tax year must be distributed to employees as soon as they are available. Important, you must verify your W2 report has moved to complete status before attempting to file a correction. If your W2 report has not moved to complete status, call Social Security Employer Reporting Assistance number at 1-800-772-6270. Do not use W2C Online if you're attempting to correct address information. Please complete IRS Form 8822. I will now hand it back to my colleague, Christina Wilson-Malia, to talk about the Social Security Number Verification Service.
Thank you, Matt. Our Business Services Online offers a service called the Social Security Number Verification Service, or SSNVS. This allows registered users, employers, and certain third-party submitters to verify the names and Social Security numbers of employees against SSA records. We will verify SSNs and names solely to ensure the records of current or former employees are correct for the purpose of completing the Form W2. A current employee is defined as a person who has received and accepted a job offer. Please note that SSNVS should only be used for the wage reporting responsibilities of hired employees. It is not proper to use SSNVS for non-wage reporting purposes, such as identity, credit checks, mortgage applications, etc. Again, for the purpose of this webinar, we already have activated the Social Security Number Verification Service. However, as a reminder, the login process is required for every Business Service Online session. On the BSO main menu, you will click on the Social Security Number Verification Service link located on the bottom of that page. With SSNVS, you may verify up to 10 names and Social Security numbers online and receive immediate results. There is no limit to the number of times the SSN verification webpage may be used within a session. You can upload electronic files of up to 250,000 names and Social Security numbers. You will usually receive results the next business day. Let's take a moment to discuss the importance of accurate employee records. It is critical that the name and Social Security number on an employee's Social Security card matches their employer's payroll records and Form W2. Correct names and SSNs on W2 wage reports are key to ensuring that employees receive the appropriate credit on their record and the successful processing of your annual wage report submission. This information is vital when determining future Social Security benefits. Ensuring accuracy of this information when submitting W2 wage reports will also reduce the need to file W2Cs for name and SSN corrections. The SSNVS webpage can be accessed on our ssa.gov/employer webpage under the Verify SSNs tab located at the top of the page and provides additional information on the application. Two helpful resources: the SSNVS handbook, which can be found by visiting ssa.gov/employer/SSNVS_handbk.htm. The handbook provides the SSNVS website information, customer support information, and details regarding use of this service. Page 25 of the handbook provides in-depth information on what to do if the SSN you have fails to be verified. The SSNVS webpage is located at ssa.gov/employer/SSNV.htm. Another helpful tool offered by our Business Services Online is a service called AccuWage Online. Again, for the purpose of this training, we already have activated wage reporting services. But as we've mentioned, the login process is required for every Business Services Online session. Once you activate wage reporting services, you will have access to the wage reporting services we've previously discussed, and you will also have access to AccuWage Online. From the BSO main menu, you will access AccuWage Online by first clicking Report Wages to Social Security, just like you did to access Wage File Upload and W2 Online. And then when you are on the electronic wage reporting page, it is the last tab. Our free AccuWage test tool allows you to check the accuracy of your EFW2 and EFW2C formatted wage files for format correctness before submitting them to Social Security. AccuWage Online identifies many, but not all wage reporting issues. Using AccuWage Online greatly reduces the likelihood that your submission will be rejected. When you're done testing, you will receive the results of the file and any errors detected. Please keep in mind that the use of AccuWage Online is not considered a wage submission in any way. It is only a tool to help screen for common format errors to avoid submission rejections and data accuracy problems. You will still need to submit your file to SSA by accessing the Report Wages to Social Security option within Business Services Online, and then selecting Upload Formatted Wage File. There are 3 helpful links on this tab as well, which include the EFW2, EFW2C specifications, an AccuWage Online help guide, and this contains extensive information regarding viewing, testing, and correcting errors in your wage reports, as well as a frequently asked questions section. Some helpful reminders when using AccuWage Online: files must be formatted in text format and adhere to the EFW2 and EFW2C guidelines. Your testing experience will take considerably less time if you zip your file. SSA strongly recommends that all wage report submitters zip their files before running them through AccuWage Online. AccuWage Online can test a maximum file size of 350 megabytes before being zipped. Instructions on how to zip your file are located on our ssa.gov/employer webpage. There is an AccuWage Online link under the W2 Filing Assistance area. Once you're on that webpage, there is a quick link section where you'll find the AccuWage Online frequently asked questions. Our AccuWage Online website is located at ssa.gov/employer/AccuWage/index.html and provides extensive information regarding viewing, testing, and correcting errors in your wage reports. Everything you need, including help information and frequently asked questions, is available. You may also email our AccuWage team at AccuWage.help@ssa.gov if you have any questions. At this time, I'm going to turn it back over to Matt to discuss submission status. Matt?
Submission status allows submitter to view the submission status, resubmission notice, errors, and detailed submission information. Moving on to how can you check the status of any submissions for any of the submissions that you've submitted under BSO user ID. You'll want to select the View Submission Status link. You cannot view reports submitted by anyone else. You have 2 options: search by date or search by the wage file identifier or WIFID. You can choose a receipt year. You can select from the current year and previous 3 years. If you search by date, you need to select a value from the Show the First 500 Submissions For field. If you search by WIFID, you may specify up to 5 submissions by entering the wage file identifier for each submission. If you do not enter 1 or more WIFIDs, all submissions will be displayed for the receipt year that you selected. For more information, visit ssa.gov/employer/documents/substat.pdf. Based on your search criteria, the status of your submission will be displayed. Final submission information will be available 1 to 6 weeks after you submit online. You cannot check status for paper submissions. We will talk later in the presentation concerning resubmissions. For more information, visit the BSO tutorial. When a file is submitted and generates a successful confirmation, and with it, the BSO status will show as received until it gets picked up by our annual wage reporting process. When our annual wage reporting processing begins, the BSO status will show as in process. When the AWR processing is finished, the BSO status will show as complete or returned depending on the outcome of the file. The submission details screen will be dependent upon the statuses of submissions from the previous screen, duplicate, return, etc. If your submissions contained any errors, you can select either View All or View Returned Reports, and the number of errors will be displayed. View All allows you to view all submissions. View Returned Reports will focus on those that have an error. You can select the number of errors for further details. Errors should be critical or informational. For more detailed information, please refer to the submission status tutorial. If the status is still received, you will have the option to delete the submission when viewing the submission details online, or you can contact 1-800-772-6270 to request that the submission not be processed. If the submission is still in processing, contact 1-800-772-6270 to request that the submission not be processed. Please contact us as soon as possible. If the submission has been processed, SSA will not be able to comply with the request, and you will need to submit a correction file. See Section 1.4 of the EFW2C specifications. For more information concerning deleting a submission, please visit those specifications for filing Forms W2 electronically. I will now cover the Employer Report Status application. Employers can view reports they've submitted or have been submitted for your company by a third party. An employer must follow the same steps for authentication to view these details. Employer report information is displayed only if the report was submitted during the most recent 4 years. Reports that have not yet been processed cannot be displayed. For more information, please visit the Employer Report Status tutorial. To access it, on the Employer Report selection page, select a tax year. The current tax year is the default, then select Continue. Users can check wage report status or view errors for wage reports submitted for their companies by a third party. Select the report details, then the error details to view each error. There are 3 status types. Complete, we've processed the report. To make changes, you must complete a W2C/W3C file. Return, the file has critical errors and we've returned it without processing it. Duplicate, we received the same file twice with the same information. If you received a resubmission notice, you can resubmit your formatted wage file or request a one-time 15-day resubmission deadline extension. If you'd like to view the resubmission notice, you can access an electronic version of it through the submission status screen. The View Notice link will be displayed on the search results page of the submission status application. You'll need the WIFID from your original filing, which can be found on your resubmission notice. Although most errors are checked upfront in the wage file upload application, a few conditions are still checked in processing. If your file contains one of these errors, your file will be rejected. You will receive a resubmission notice explaining the error and directing you to fix the error and resubmit the file. You will have 45 days from the date of the resubmission notice to fix and upload your file. To request a resubmission extension, you may not request an extension if you've previously submitted data for this wage file identifier or more than 45 days have passed since the date on the resubmission notice. I'm now going to move on to some resources. Here are some resources for submission and employer report status applications, as well as for resubmission notices. Our tutorials can be found on our ssa.gov/employer website under the videos, tutorials, and handbooks. And our electronic W2 filing user handbook can also be found at ssa.gov/employer/bsohbnew.htm. Those are some important submission and employer report status resources for you to utilize. I'm now going to turn it back over to Christina for additional information and resources.
Thank you, Matt. Let's review some filing reminders. If you have 10 or more information returns, you are required to file electronically unless the IRS grants you a waiver. You can request a waiver by filing Form 8508 with the IRS. Remember, the filing deadline is January 31st for both electronic and paper W-2 forms. If you are unable to file W-2s with SSA by January 31st, you may request a one-time only 30-day extension with the IRS by completing Form 8809. For more information, please visit irs.gov. We receive questions often regarding Forms 1099, which seems to create some confusion. The SSA 1099, formerly known as a Social Security benefit statement, is mailed to individuals that receive SSA benefits each January. It shows the total amount of benefits received from us in the previous year and tells you how much Social Security income to report to the IRS on your tax return. More information regarding the SSA 1099 can be found on ssa.gov, including information on how to obtain a replacement form SSA 1099. The IRS 1099 is an information return filed through the IRS. SSA Business Services Online cannot be used to file an IRS 1099. BSO is for filing of your W-2s. The IRS accepts IRS 1099 information returns through their IRIS taxpayer portal. E-file details regarding filing information returns with IRIS can be found on IRS's website at irs.gov. If you need business services online support, our Employer 800 number is the one-stop shop for all of your reporting, including access and registration questions. You can call us at 1-800-772-6270. Our TTY number is 1-800-325-0778, or you can email us at employerinfo@ssa.gov. If you're in need of technical support, you can contact us at 1-888-772-2970. And our TTY number is 1-800-325-0778. Or you may email us at bso.support@ssa.gov. Please note that our hours of operation have recently changed. The phone lines are now open Monday through Friday, 7 a.m. until 5:30 p.m. Eastern Time. If you are in need of a wage reporting expert, our Employer Services Liaison Officers, or ESLOs, are available to assist you. Each of our regions have ESLOs assigned to answer your specialized wage reporting questions about the agency's payroll reporting processes and applications. Our Ask a Wage Reporting Expert webpage can be found under the W-2 Filing Assistance section on our ssa.gov/employer webpage. This webpage contains information on locating the Regional Employer Services Liaison Officer in your area, and also includes telephone numbers and email addresses for each region. Many of our important resources are shown on this slide, including our employer website located at ssa.gov/employer. Our access and registration resources are located at ssa.gov/employer/navigate.htm. The BSO welcome page is located at ssa.gov/BSO, where you will sign in to Business Services Online, or you may create an account. Also, our customer support for wage reporting webpage located at ssa.gov/employer/empcontacts.htm contains all of the customer support information for wage reporting. And for any questions outside of wage reporting and Business Services Online, Our national 800 number agents are available to provide assistance. You can reach them by calling 1-800-772-1213. We've provided you with a lot of information today, and we want you to know that we always value your feedback. There is a feedback button on the right panel of our Business Services online welcome page and on our applications. Please take the time to provide your feedback. Hearing from you helps us to improve our applications and provides a better customer experience for you. We discussed the 3 ways to file W3, W2, W3C, and W2C wage reports electronically using Business Services Online with our wage file upload, W2 Online, and W2C Online applications. We also provided an overview of our access and registration, Social Security number verification service, AccuWage Online, as well as how to check the submission and employer report status and resubmission notices. In addition, we provided additional resources, including tutorials and tips for the wage reporting process and customer support information. We hope you found this webinar helpful to assist you with reporting wages electronically. I'd like to take a quick minute to thank my colleague, Matthew Newton, for co-hosting today's webinar with me. We hope that you found today's discussion informative. On behalf of the Social Security Administration, we extend our gratitude to you for viewing this pre-recorded session.